Greetings, family. I hope all is well. This is O Mekongo, Dr. O, talking about everything that's going on in the country nowadays. And I gotta say, I've been so disappointed in some of these panel discussions that I've been seeing in the media talking about how upset they are with the fact that Trump has failed to take advantage of his moment, has failed to really step up to the plate as it relates to condemning racism and white supremacy. And I don't understand why people are so surprised. The fact of the matter is that President Trump is an admitted racist. After this post is done, I will post his direct link below to where he said, I am, and this was not decades ago, or like with the Access Hollywood video, people wanted to claim that was an old Trump, not a saved Trump, as one of his defenders said. This was something he said during the campaign. He said, I am the least racist of all of the candidates out there. Now look, I teach cross-cultural communication at American University, and the first thing I tell my students is that words matter. It's like Dr. Maya Angelou said, when people tell you who they are, believe them. So I don't understand why people are having a conversation over why this man can't condemn racism, because he is one. So to condemn it would be to condemn himself. And some people say, well, he's not racist, he's not this, he's not that. That's not how it works, family. We teach our kids to say what they mean and mean what they say. If I tell you that I'm the least likely to steal your stuff, are you going to leave things around me because I'm not as big a thief as somebody else that you know? It doesn't work that way. If I say, well, I'm not as big of a pedophile as other people out there, do you leave your kids around me? No. So why do we get upset when we have an admitted racist who can't condemn racism? The fact of the matter is, if we want to really take control of what's going on in this country, if we really want to move in a positive direction, we're going to have to move on without the leadership of the President of the United States. And that's just a fact. That's just how it has to be right now. And I've been alive since, I guess, Jimmy Carter was president, and any president I've lived under, at the very least, has condemned white supremacy. Of course, some have had policies that have been detrimental to my community. Of course, I get that. I'm not oblivious to this. But at the very least, condemning white supremacy was like a no-brainer. But the fact of the matter is, the president can't do that because he is that. Period. We can't get into this conversation about he's not this, he's not that. Stop being upset. Recognize who he is, and then let's move on. This is a Putin, Russian-loving, white supremacist, winking, nodding president. This is who he is. And to all of you all who are out there protesting, I got to ask you a question. Protests are done for today. Of course, we know that there will be more. You woke up and check it out. Every politician, well, most, have condemned you and your actions. All the Republicans, all the Democrats who are out there. And now what do you have? You said no laws have changed. Now what are you going to do? Now what's next? Is it more violence? Are you going to continue to condemn and blame the police and others for who didn't do their job? Or are you going to start looking in the mirror and seeing what you can do to help make this country better? I understand you have a president who is supporting you right now because, as I say to anybody I speak to, silence is compliance, and by his silence, he's extremely compliant to you all, but he's actually been more than silent. He's actually wanted you all to get out there and do this all along. So I believe he's back in his White House kind of smiling at this because he enjoys the chaos. So what are you going to do? Because this isn't back in the day. This isn't the 60s. This isn't the 1800s. And of course, there are many signs and things that are still prevalent and happening today, but we're not going backwards as a country. And you're out there supporting David, Robert E. Lee, someone who said at his funeral didn't even want his flag to be flown, and you're out there representing a racist heritage. And not to mention the fact that many of the people who are actually involved in the movement in the Confederacy didn't have children. So what's really your heritage? But I know that that's historical facts, and some people have challenges getting caught up in the weeds of what's actual truth. Let's also have some other truth that many of these Confederate monuments didn't go up until the era of Jim Crow, and it was a protest to what was actually happening. These monuments didn't go up during and right after the Civil War, but it was this whole thing about the South will rise again, the South will rise again. But let's take it back to the president. The president is not a leader. The president cannot be a leader. And from Steve Miller to Bannon and the others, he has surrounded himself with other racists and other white supremacists. So this is who he is. So all of you all who are out there on television talking about how outraged you are, you can't be outraged that a racist can't condemn racism. That's somebody who is out there speaking up against all different types of groups who can call what happens over in France and in London terrorism, but can't speak about domestic terrorism at home. We can't be surprised about that. What we can do is take action. And I also want to say, to all of you Trump supporters out there who said throughout the campaign, oh, just because I support him, it doesn't mean that I'm racist. Maybe that might have been true. But what do you do now that your president, as you will see from the links below, is an admitted racist who can't condone racism and white supremacy? Do you still stand with that? Do you still support that because you think he might have a good jobs plan? Everyone I speak to, I talk about the importance of being an upstander and not a bystander. And by you not condemning these actions and condemning what the president is doing, you are being a bystander. And so you are part of the problem. And so I have to question you. Are you at the end of the day really not racist? At the end of the day, do you really support this? Because every inaction on your part is an action. And so you can believe in Trump's jobs program. You can believe in what he's going to do to turn around the economy. But at the end of the day, I would never support a president if I liked their education program or their jobs program or whatever program if I thought they were a racist or an anti-Semite or a homophobe or a sexist or anything of the sort. And that's what President Trump is. That's what President Trump is. So this picking and choosing the things that you're going to support, we're at a point now where everybody needs to draw their lines in the sand, where everybody needs to get out here right now and say that they're going to condemn this and condemn anybody who supports this. And Donald Trump every single day is giving a wink and a nod to white supremacy. And if you are not going to say anything about it, you are doing the same. We have a 32-year-old woman, a patriot, like Van Jones said, who lost her life in America fighting Nazis and white supremacy. Where are you going to stand on that? How many more people do we have to lose to be silent and people to tap around the issue and say, well, he's not this and he's not that. And then, of course, people want to bring up what Obama did and did not do. But look, even on Obama's worst day, at the very least, he was condemning anti-racism. And even if he didn't, rather than evoking his name in this issue, how about this, Trump? How about actually working to be better than your predecessors, if you feel like indeed Obama never did this? So to Paris Denard and all of these guys out there who are excusing what the president is doing, you should be ashamed. You should be embarrassed of what you're doing because you're setting this country backwards. But I got news for you. We're not going backwards. We're never going to do that. We're not going to continue to support racism. We're not going to support anti-Semitism. We're going to condemn all of the Islamophobia. We're going to condemn it all in all of its forms. And the fact of the matter is everybody wanted to turn a blind eye and say that Donald Trump isn't this, but he is that. But this is who he is, period. And lastly, to you conservatives out there, and you who consider yourself to be right-wing, look, I have no problem with you being right-wing. I don't care if you have conservative views on things. That's all good. But at what point, how long do you continue to let your ideology, your party, be co-opted by these racists and anti-Semites? The goal of this movement, they called it Unite the Right. Is this what you're uniting with? And all of those people who call themselves alt-right is white supremacy. And if you're going to be a right-wing person and let that continue to be used to help identify you, then you are part of that as well. So where are you going to take a stand? Where are you going to stand up? We have these people who are in their journals, as Soledad O'Brien pointed out, said, oh, Trump didn't condemn us. He said everybody's hating on all sides, so we need to continue doing what we're doing. See what I'm saying? This is not acceptable. This can't continue. This can't continue in these divided states of America. So you could be conservative, you could be pro this and pro life and all of that type of stuff. But when are you going to stop letting people co-opt who you are and what you claim to do? We need you out there getting out there to take a stand. And just as the woman who was murdered in this protest said, if you're not going to get out there and be upset, we really have to question you. So I'm questioning you all today. Election's over. We got our president. And we have a racist president. And the question is, what are you going to do to help change that? What are you going to do? Are you calling him out, to letting him know that you may still support him on particular issues, but you condemn what he's doing? To not even do that is to be a bystander. And like Dr. King said, All it takes for racism to prevail is for good-natured people to do nothing. So how much longer will you continue to do nothing? How much longer will you continue to benefit from this system from your silence? We need all hands on deck right now for the future of this country. So if you really care, if you're really interested in making the situation better for our children who are out there for a better tomorrow, then you need to get up and stand up and continue to condemn this. All these leaders have done that I know of. And maybe there's some other ones who are staying silent, of course, but for the most part, they've all done it. And if we don't get it from the top, we are never going to get it from this president. Even his wife, Melania Trump, not American born, was out there condemning this before he did. That's what we call leadership. Even his daughter, he's not even retweeting his daughter. And this is a man who has retweeted Nazi rhetoric, who has retweeted white supremacists, because this is who he is. So if we want to have dialogue, if we want to take ourselves forward, let's move forward with the truth. Let's move forward with the facts, because facts matter. And as I said, as you'll see from the links below, he admitted he's a racist. So it's not about me calling him racist. I'm just calling him what he is. I consider myself to be an upstander. You want to call me an upstander? Call me that. I consider myself to be a professor. You want to call me that? Call me that. Call me what I identify myself as. So let's call out the racist president for what he is, and let's stop looking for him to do what he can't do, because he can't teach what he doesn't know, and he can't lead where he doesn't go. This is who he is. This is in his background, the racism going back to the 70s, and his housing policies, and even his father being involved in white supremacist rallies, and his statements about the Central Park 5. This is who he is. And so the question is, if you don't continue to condemn this or start condemning this, the real question is, who are you? Peace.